What's good, everybody? It's your boy 405 here. It's Look, It's a Podcast. Welcome back. It's season 2. And of course, I have to bring out the big guns on the first episode of season 2.
Me?
This man, you see this man. See, he's already blushing already because he didn't know I was going to hit him with this type of intro to start off with.
I didn't.
This man all over commercials. Whatever, you can have a streaming service or cable, you're going to still see his ads pop up. Whether he's wearing underwear for Geico,
low blow,
kids getting wings, like you're gonna see this man everywhere. You've seen Barbershop 2. He's always, agent in Hydra. He's a part of Hydra somehow, and this guy's everywhere.
I got lucky on that one.
But ladies and gentlemen, my man, Rich Pierre-Louis. What's good, man?
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me, 405. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Man, I'm so
happy. We've been trying to do this for a minute, so I'm glad I got, I had the day free when I was able to just jump in and do it. I was like, I put you off for like a month with, having to run back and forth with my little boy. And I was like, I can't get this date. I'm sorry. And just having to go visit his mom today. So I was like, I'm doing it today.
I kept getting those thumbs up too, which is always one of those ones where it's like, does he really care that much?
100%, man. No, on the real, you know how long we go back. So I was like, I gotta do this because I don't like doing something for someone that I don't know, but when it's someone that I know who likes me, we like each other, we worked together before, I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this. This is my boy. We go back, I don't remember now, 14 years maybe?
Something like that.
It's been a minute, right? I've been in LA for 17. I think I met you like 2 or 3 years after I got here.
Yeah, it's been a while because the first show I had, that was like about 13, 14, yeah.
Hey, man, I'm good with the math, man. I got this.
Yeah, you could.
I just remember going, he's going to think I'm a flake. I had that thought about it because I'm like, you got kids. You know what it's like. It's a rush. You can see right here, there's a cat next to me. I don't have any sort of time or, down. I don't have downtime. So I have to rush and do everything. Like later on, when I'm done with this, I got an audition to study for and shoot. So, I would shoot you the thumbs up, just like I'm still here, I'm willing, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I just got to settle this right here. So
I like it, and I know you're busy, man, because you're like one of the. Because I know a lot of people that do, they're in acting and movies and things like that, and music. I don't know a lot of people that do commercials, so I'm intrigued by how your hustle is in commercials because you're literally in everything. A lot more lately. So I'm sure you got more like coming soon, right? Like more commercials.
I have like 2 more coming out. I don't know when they're coming out, but we shot them obviously during quarantine. We're still in quarantine and shot them. They threw them in a can. I got lucky last year when the one popped off. I literally shot it about 2 weeks before we shut down. Before in the March quarantine, I shot it not too far from my house. Everything just worked out in a synchronistic fashion. The Allstate one with Dennis Haysbert.
Right.
Safe driver, save 40%. I shot it like a couple of blocks from my house. The pandemic happened, and I was like, my first thought was, fuck, this, excuse me, can I curse? I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, fudge. I was like, is this going to come out? Or am I good? Like, what is this going to be like with me not being able to work? And I didn't know how long the pandemic would last. None of us did, obviously, right?
Right.
So I was like, I had no idea how I was going to make money because, I knew that production stuff makes you money if you in it. But my writing, you can sell the writing, and that I sold a couple of scripts during pandemic. But I was like, how am I going to make money on a weekly basis? And the commercial dropped maybe about a week after the pandemic. So it was like a 3-week turnaround. Right. And that commercial ran throughout the pandemic, which kept me afloat. And, I was able to make some money during that time.
What was it like working with him?
He was so kind. And I'll tell you a funny story. I don't think I've ever told this story, but back in 2005, I was one of the people elected. They have this sort of, I wouldn't say a campaign, but you have to audition and be selected or submitted. So I got to go to Sundance, the Sundance Filmmakers Lab. Okay. And, they assign you when you're at the lab. I mean, I'm talking big time people. Glenn Close was one of my mentors. Sally Field was a mentor, and Dennis Haysbert was a mentor. I mean, and so many other people were there, but I was just there facilitating the project of other directors and writers and so forth. I was an actor, but they would come and try to, mentor you and tell you how the scene's gonna go and just an all-around production. And I met Dennis Haysbert then. I didn't remember that. So when I got to set, he just came in and I thought he was being a kind, courteous actor that lives up to his reputation because everyone says he's the goods. So when I got to the scene, because we had never met before during the audition. So when I got on set, he goes, I know you from somewhere. And I was like, no, I appreciate that. That's kind, you know, dropping the burden of proof on him. Like, oh, I know you. And I was like, no, I don't think you do know me. I'm just a lowly actor. You're Dennis Haysbert. And then as it goes, I went on Instagram about a month later, and one of the people at the Sundance Filmmakers Lab was like, you got to meet up with Dennis again. And I was like, well, what do you mean meet up with him again? She was like, Rich, he was your mentor at Sundance. And I was like, fuck, he had a better memory than me. So I shot him a text. I said, I'm so sorry. That was another thing. He had a very sort of contact me, hit me if you have any questions or let me know. And I just shot him a text through Instagram and get out of here, you little cat. But long story, he remembered who I was, and I was so flattered, obviously, because I'm nobody. I'm still low. Would you get your tail out of my face? Yeah. I'm just a regular young actor trying to make it out here, and he has a great memory. So I thought he was just a great guy to work with, and he was fully embraced my son. He fully embraced my son, and he was very kind.
You know, the one thing I love about him was because I'm a huge 24 fan with Kiefer Sutherland.
That was a big show.
And it broke my heart when he got killed. I was heartbroken when he got killed and that's killed off of the show. And I was like, man, because I know him always for that, but he's a great actor anyways.
Yeah, he goes way back, man. I mean, just his resume obviously speaks for itself. And I think I just like that he's still relevant, you know? I like that he's still working.
You said something, his resume speaks for itself. Yours does too, because I went through IMDb and was looking through some stuff. And that's where I threw out the Agent of Hydra from S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. And I didn't even know you did that.
I did. I had just had my son, and I was in one of those places where you know me, I was like focused, just raising my son. I hadn't even done stand-up in 5 years. I haven't touched the stage. I don't go out. You know, I'm a single dad. So it's one of those things where I chose to just focus on raising my son and having those influential moments in his life for those first few years that he's there. And obviously throughout the entire, create that foundation. So at first I turned down the Hydra thing because I was like, oh no, it'll take me away from my son. But the producer who worked on another show that I did, I don't remember what show that was, but she was like, it's a scene, probably won't even have you back, just shoot it, we'll come back. I was like, okay, well, my son goes to visit his mom in a couple of weeks. It was a week's time, about a week. And she was like, we'll have you and shoot around that. I went in, a couple of lines, shot it, knocked it out. And then they would call him back and were like, yeah, you're coming back because we probably might have to kill you off. And I was like, what? I was honored. I was honored. I think I in all did like 2 or 3 episodes. And the funny thing was, you know, it was canceled. So I don't know if my character was able to die. They never showed that.
Man.
So if they ever bring it back, bring me back, guys. I want to be
I was thinking you should get a spinoff.
I was, you know what was those guys, you know, remember watching Star Trek and there was always like a person in a different color shirt that got killed? That was me. I was destined to die, but she was very kind and worked around my schedule at that point. So that was a blessing. And I still let me see what this check is. I see something here.
Yeah.
What's funny is I'm looking at this residual check that I got. No, it's from Hannah, Montana.
You were in Hannah, Montana too?
Yeah, years ago. That was one of the first. I couldn't see that. That was one of the first shows that I did when I moved to LA. I worked on Hannah, Montana as a video jockey. And I know, hey, listen, man, I'm still young and hungry, so I was like, I'll do it. Yeah. And all these experiences, you know, moving forward, add up to like it's a lot of fun, but you got to do it. You got to go through it because some of them are not great. But for the most part of my career, I've been able to just lock down and have good rapport with people that I've worked with. And you know, like Miley Cyrus, who would have known she was going to be who she is now? And that was the fun one. I've actually worked with, what's that girl's name? Emma Stone.
I like her. She's cool.
Do you remember that show, the remake of The Partridge Family?
Yes.
I was on that. I played an agent or something like that, and I was.
Bro, I guarantee you, if I go back and just watch like older TV shows or movies or whatever, I'm going to see you in probably everything. You're going to literally be like, oh, there's Rich. There's
20
Rich.
years from now, I hope that that's the case.
It feels like it now because a commercial will pop up and my girl and I was just sitting there and I'm like, oh, there's Rich.
And you're not offended that I'm in my underwear at that point. You're just like, oh,
no, I'm actually very excited.
Well,
take it however you want, but
no, that was a fun one to do. I'm very fortunate, I will say, as a Black actor in Hollywood, or just in general in the industry, the film and TV, to be working on prominent projects that typically didn't feature Black people or African Americans out, in their projects. And I've come across some in my career that are just like groundbreaking, monumental work that people do, and edgy stuff like that. That Snickers commercial caught a lot of flack for people, but
why? Because you're in your underwear?
Because I'm in my underwear, and the amount of
you're a Black guy in your underwear, so they were super offended.
That was talked about at production meetings. That was talked about. I mean, this process.
Really?
I remember going. I promise you, I remember going to the fitting one day because the fitting was like 2 or 3, and this is during COVID, by the way.
Right.
I remember going to the fitting, and I was so worried because I hired a nanny that day. My nanny, I was like, I'm just gonna be there for an hour. 6 hours later, I'm still in the wardrobe fitting because there was so much talk about how we're gonna stage this and what's offensive and what's not offensive. And fast forward, honestly, I wound up wearing 3 pair of underwears because I'm dead serious, because I wore a jockstrap, I wore a dancer's belt, and another set of underwears, because the idea that this is going to be on prime time, we want to keep it as PG as we can, but more funny. And I was sitting there listening to these production meetings about, well, it's weird because, well, his legs are not that hairy, but we don't want it to go up. And I could hear them talking, and I'm like, so I'm sitting there. Well, I'm like, I'll shave. It's no problem. I'll shave. Yeah, but we're gonna have to tuck. And I'm like, I'll tuck if you're paying me. I'll tuck whatever you want. That was a fun one, but also you could see the inner workings of what you can present to America and what isn't during prime time.
The underwear did look a little thick. Like, it didn't look like every normal tight.
I had the fattest ass I've ever seen. I was like, why is my butt? Oh, that's right. It was. God bless them for real, because they could have just said, "Nah, we can use whatever," but they took a risk, and it wasn't. I was like, this is not a big controversy, but looking back, I mean, people could make a big stink about anything, and I just felt if it's affecting my bottom line, I don't want to do anything to offend it. I was like, I'll wear a sack if that will help sell this thing.
Now, you mentioned you have 2 commercials coming out. You don't know when, but can you say what the company is?
The one is a bank. I signed an NDA for one that I cannot go. Another one's a bank. It's
okay, like a local bank, or
no. I can. It's not a local bank. The other one I cannot talk about because I signed an NDA. But I don't know if they would let me. It's a bank. It's a big bank.
Okay,
that's all too. It's we'll forego that. See what I did there? Well, forego that.
I like it. There's also a TV show and a movie with the same name.
Yes, you're good. Yes, there it is. So that's what's coming, and I have no idea when it's coming out. But also, they renegotiate some of the commercials that I was in, which again, because of the pandemic, it's a blessing because they weren't able to shoot new and relevant content because people were unable to go to studios and or set.
So let me ask you this, because like with everything with COVID, once COVID shut everything down, obviously it was strained for everybody.
Yeah.
What was the biggest, obviously financial and everything else for everybody too, but what was the biggest issue you had with your normal process of going to auditions and your normal routine? Then COVID hits, everything shut down. Now you're kind of sitting around for a little bit to see when everything kicks back up. When was it where it was like, I need to do something? Like, and what did you do? Like what, because you had to do something.
I did. The very first month was like, this will be over soon. My sister and brother and niece are all doctors and we're at the front line in New York. So they would tell me, this is not going away for a while. And I was like, no, I'm sure, I know actors, we can't act virtually and far away from each other. We have to be there. And I was like, it'll, you know, I'll be okay in the next 2 months, but 2 months turned into 5 and then 7. But during that time, ironically enough, I was commissioned to present a project, right? I'll just say that. And I was very fortunate. Come here. No. Goodbye. I was very fortunate to start collaborating with this one writing partner that I worked with about 10 years ago on a TV show called Bad Sitcom that was kind of based off of a play that I'd loved called Noise Is Off, a really, really old play about what goes on behind the scenes of a sitcom or excuse me, a play. And me and my partner were like, let's revisit this. So we revisited it and made it more today. And thankfully we got that sold. We got that picked up, and whatever they're going to do with that. And I'm not a character in that, although I just wrote it now. And if they cast me in it, that's fine. If not, it's their project. I just wanted to finish that. I was twiddling my thumbs for about a month, and I was like, I can't do that. I have a child to feed and raise, and I can't wait. And going back to the original part, the first part, the hardest part was adjustments, making adjustments, having to audition solely at home, having to be your own cameraman, having to have someone else come in like you and say, hey, can you come in or on the phone and read some lines for me while I do this audition, to a camera, and that's it, and no one in the room. And then having my son in the background just watching me or talking, playing games. It was the hardest thing for the first few months, making that adjustment and, you know, just getting everything right, because sometimes it's all done for you. You go to the studio or the audition and you do your audition and you come back and do the callback a couple of days later and you go to set, and the process. This one was completely different. It still is, but it taught me that you can do, you got to do it. If you need to do something, you got to do it.
I mean, I'm so proud of you, bro, because just knowing how far you've come along and just seeing everything, and like, I can't say that I've seen everything you've done, but I've watched so many prominent things that stood out to where I could research the things you've done and just it adds to that. So if you make things look easy, and that's how good you are, in my opinion. So for somebody who's brand new or trying to get into what you're doing, what's the route that they should go on to get, like, the baby steps process? Like, obviously, people with realistic expectations shouldn't believe that they're going to make it big right off the bat. That doesn't really happen unless you have like a viral video or something, and you get, you know, it's like the lottery. Someone's going to win, right? Yeah. But what's the baby step process that your advice? What you just said makes me go, that should be the first thing that people go, I'm not going to make it right away. I've told you my age before we got, I'm not far off from 50. And I started when I was like 17 years old, 18 years old back in New York. And I remember having conversations with my friends every time you thought you were going to make it, every time you did a project. I remember the very first movie that I did that was big, that I was the star of and the lead of, with, you know, a few other actors, you know, like Donald Faison, and even Faison Love was in the movie, and people who, if you say the name, they know him. Donald Faison, you know, it was 4 of us. We went away. It was the first time that I got to get on a plane and do a project and be taken care of, and I was out there for months. You know, I thought this project is going to do it, and I'm never going to have to search for work like this again. And man, 5 months later, 6 months later, I flew out to LA for the premiere of the movie. And when I'm telling you, the movie was awful. It was awful. It was just awful. The performances weren't awful. I just mean that. I'll say that sincerely. We were good. Just the timing, the construction of it, and how it was, now that what I know about film, how it was presented, didn't get the message across. All I'm going to say. But I will also say that it made me go back and go, you never guaranteed when whatever's going to happen. You should always enjoy. Like, I enjoyed having a project to work on and then just starting back over and going to work on something else. You can't rest on work that you've already done. And if you're starting out, listen to you. You can't come in the business, I believe, in thinking, I'm going to make it on the first thing that I do. It doesn't work that way. And another thing is, as corny as it sounds, do it for the love. Find something that you love about it, whether or not it's the performing aspect or not, it's the auditioning or creating a script. Find something that you really love and focus and hone that, because you'll get better at that. And a lot of other things will fall into place.
You know, honestly, I didn't ever think, doing stand-up, you write your own jokes. You write your own 20-minute to 30 minutes routine based on things, however you observe them or things in your life. I never thought I would write, a couple of TV shows 30 years prior to that. I didn't think that way, but you have more information, you have more things you want to talk about, and you can't always talk about those things, as you know, in 20 or 30 minutes.
Right.
You want to tell a story. And
Absolutely.
so it brought me to that angle. So I think not limiting yourself and not narrowing yourself is a good thing, but I also think focusing on something that can expand you and that you can be great at to get you to those places is really important.
Absolutely.
I think.
And to me, it's like, I've always tried to dabble in a lot of different things. And it was like when I was younger, we all, at the end of the day, everybody's an entrepreneur, right? We all have that in our
like
heart.
that. See that?
I mean, it's facts, because we all want to do something. So essentially inside, we're all entrepreneurs. So it's a matter of just, if we want to keep going with that and work for that and hustle for that, or just talk about, hey, I used to do this, or I'm going to try to do this, but I don't have the time or whatever. So you've actually taken that, hustle, and you've turned it into like your own brand. You know what I mean? Like every time I see you now, it's with commercials. But if you pop up in a movie or TV show, it's like, okay, here's this, you know what I mean? Like you're your own brand, your own movement. So with me, what I've done is, it's just like what you said, you got to do what you love. All the things that I've wanted to do, because, comedy and everything else, I love doing podcasts. I love talking to people.
You're great at it.
I love knowing people's stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love doing it. I haven't done it for so long, because the last time I did it was the first time me and you had a podcast together, talking on a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. It was before podcasts were big.
You know what I'm saying?
That was before. I remember. I was like, this guy. It was before any. I mean, what's funny about technology? It moves so fast with Instagram and Facebook, and it was just like, I remember working so hard at like keeping myself relevant during MySpace.
Yeah.
If we had the kind of sort of audience or outlook that we had back then, I'm talking 14 years ago, 15 years ago, who knows where we would stand in terms of, the lore of podcasts or relevant, artists and things of that nature. But I remember it's a I wouldn't say easier path now, but you have a lot more people to reach in a lot quicker time, as opposed to even 15 or 10 years ago.
And that's the thing too, because then there was some people doing it, because I was doing it on the Blog Talk Radio platform, and it was relatively new, and I was doing it out of my garage with a laptop and my home phone, not a cell phone, home phone, no microphone, nothing. And I grew my audience, and there wasn't really, I'd probably say there was hundreds. Now there's like thousands, millions of people doing podcasts. So at the time, I mean, you couldn't really do a podcast and get a lot of people listening to it, because people weren't familiar, because people were still listening to talk radio. And that's what I love. I love talk radio and interviews and things. So it was kind of new. But now it's like, you'll get a bigger audience, but now there's more competition. So it's like.
But I do, I like that there's more competition, because, it always, I hate it sounds cliche, but the cream of the crop will rise, and the people that, if you build it, they will come. You will have an audience. You will have people watch just solely you. That's great. And then there are people who just wouldn't want to watch other things, or people who want to watch other things and just dabble. But if you build something, I believe it may not hit overnight, but if you continue to do it for the love, and I believe, with good intentions, and people continue to believe and follow you, and you're not doing it for maybe altruistic purposes or reasons, and you're doing it simply because you want to get a message out, or you like sharing, as you said, the stories of people and their journey. I believe that there is an audience out there for that, and there will always be. I believe if you wanted to talk about wallets as a podcast, somebody's going to be like, I love to think hearing about wallets. Let me tune into that every week. I just think that.
And next week, the wallet show, how do you feel about Velcro? Pros or cons?
I'm into Velcro now. I haven't taught my son to tie his shoes yet. I just finished the bike and the hoverboard thing, and I love Velcro.
You mentioned your son
Yes.
You know, he's a very beautiful boy, and I know that you have.
That's right. Wait, hold on. You said beautiful.
I'm trying to segue into. I'm trying to do a smooth segue, but now I'm just.
Now I'm just showing off. This is my guy.
There it is.
This is my guy. This is my guy right here. That's my boy. His name is Richard Pierre-Louis II. I call him R2. I am not a Star Wars fan. I hate to admit that. I know.
Get out.
I know, but you know Dean Edwards. You know Dean Edwards. He's one of my best friends, like my big brother, and he hates that I don't like Star Wars. And my son's name is R2. He's like, how could you?
I'm like, okay, so let's get to the bottom of this. What irritates you about Star Wars? Why don't you like it?
No, nothing irritates me. It's just I am. Man, it's so. I watched Tenet the other night, and I was like, this is kind of like Star Wars. I had to watch it 2 and 3 times or certain versions of it, and I still don't get. But Dean Edwards can break this stuff down for you, and the Imperial this and the this, and I'm like, I don't get it. And he's like, you should go back and watch, The Mandalorian. I'm like, I don't have that time to invest in over 30 years of Star Wars. I'm good.
But you've watched like Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi, the 3 main ones. Have you watched the 3 main ones?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Have you?
Okay.
We might have solved the problem.
All right, hold on. Full disclosure. So back when they re-released them, I believe it was 97. I don't remember when they re-released them and they brought them back out in theaters. I'll promise you, I was living in LA at the time. I had just finished that project that I was telling you about, that I flew out here and I started living in LA. Right. And Dean Edwards called me and was like, yo, Star Wars is coming out. I'll take you to the movies, fly back to New York. I was like, I'm not flying back to Star Wars. He was like, I got you. I was like, you got me a movie ticket? So I made it a big thing. I flew back to New York because I was like, oh, I can pick up some more stuff while I'm there. And that's the first time that I saw Star Wars in its entirety. Back in like 97.
So you've watched Star Wars, the original.
Yeah.
Now, what about Empire Strikes Back?
I've seen them all. He's forced me to see them all. I love them. I dig them. But I'm not a Star Wars head. I dig them.
Okay. So you're not like a fanatic or anything like that, but you like the movies?
I do a lot. I do like them a lot. I just can't do what you or Dean, anyone. I can't quote them like that. All I know is, Luke, I am your father. And I suck.
Yeah, that's
I readily admit that I suck. My son, he loves the freaking Star Wars Legos. He loves anything that's like Star Wars-ish. And I'm like, his helmet, he had Star Wars helmet, he has a Star Wars bike. Don't ask me. He just fell in love with it. So I rock with it. So
when are you going to audition for Mandalorian new season?
Man, listen, if my agent says to me, I'll do whatever. I'll pretend like I'm like, what podcast? I don't remember saying a podcast I've never heard.
I'll delete it. If you get an opportunity, I'll delete this thing for you. I don't care.
Hopefully something will come up in the next, I really, really want to do work. I want to work. I want to be proud of my work. I want to do work that's fun. I want to do work that I can look back on and go, I'm not embarrassed by the choice that I made or taking these roles. And ultimately, I want to feel fortunate that I was able to step in those rooms and give them a take on the character that they either wrote, or give them a different appreciation of a character they never saw that coming. Right. I love working. I love working, but I do love working on projects that, kind of live the test of time. You mentioned Barbershop 2. I still, till this day, as small as a role that was, I still get people who go, I know you from somewhere. I've seen you. And, obviously my first thing is commercials, and they go, Barbershop 2. Especially, I'm telling you, in Black communities, I'll go to the grocery store prior to not having a mask, and the movie had just come on, like BET. Excuse me. The movie had just come. Sorry about that.
There you go.
The movie had just come on BET, like, the night before, and they're like, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Expand.
See, when you're so big, this is when you have a famous person on the show. He's gonna have agents calling him. You know who that is? That's right now. That's George Lucas talking to you. He's coming out of retirement.
He brought it back, huh? No, it was a young lady. I can't see myself, but that's fine.
People watch the podcast.
Say it again.
People are watching it. It's not even broadcast yet. We're not even live, and you're already getting.
Oh, it's not live. Oh, I thought it was live. Okay, good. That means
No,
I
we're
can do
live.
crazy stuff, and you can edit.
Oh no, we're not editing none of this out. It's a podcast. We're not.
Bye. No, I'm just kidding. Silly, man.
So what would be like a dream gig for you? Like, would you want to be on like a sitcom or anything like that for a few seasons?
The obvious reasons of being on a sitcom. I'm a devoted dad, right? So being able to come back home to my son every single night and not be away from him is ideal. And I'm able to work and stay in California or so. But if I had to choose something, it'd probably be something like, NCIS. One of those shows. They last forever.
Yes.
14. I mean, come on. Can you imagine having a character develop over that time? I mean, I probably get, after 5 or 6 years, like I want to do something else, but that money is good. So
yeah,
let's do something else in the off season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We were talking, me and my girl were talking about, cause she just got into Big Bang Theory. She never watched it before. There's like a lot of shows she's never really watched. And I don't know his real name, but he was David and Roseanne. He's like the star with the glasses.
Oh yeah. I saw him in a play years ago at the Geffen Theater, and he was Galicki.
Yes.
Galicki.
And
I saw him. He was
his career, like just his career in general. Like he's not a guy that people will talk about. He's obviously a working actor. He's been doing this since he was a little kid, even before
Roseanne. He was a kid.
Yeah. And he's just been working, and he's had a great career. Like all that money from Roseanne, just playing that back, and then you say have Big Bang Theory. I mean, the dude really.
I think you mentioned something, and you overlooked. Like he did iconic projects.
Yeah.
The Big Bang Theory is one of the top whatever sitcoms of all times. Yeah. Right? Roseanne, as controversial as she is now, back then that was one of the top 10, 15 sitcoms of all time. So he goes down in lore. And I think Galicki is one of those actors that you go, he can do anything. Mm-hmm. He can do something, even if it's a small or big role, he can do something. Like I said, I saw him in a play, and I thought he was just fantastic. I think it was Our Sons or something, but he was great.
That's the kind of stuff your career like that, honestly. Like your career is like that. Like you've just been working for so long, and now you're kind of like you're putting it in overdrive now, because it was before it was like, and this is just like what I've seen, the commercials and the little spots in the movies and stuff, but it's like it's building up to where you're seeing more, and you do have that face anyways. Like you can tell you've been in some stuff. Like people know this. Right? They look at you. Yeah, dude, you have that face.
I feel like I look like every common Joe there is, just like a big head, beard, glasses. I don't see any distinguishing features or characteristics in me that make me different from one. But I've heard before that I look familiar, and people can't place it, which I love, because I don't know if I told you this, but there have been projects that I've done where the same amount of money comes in and the same amount of airplay, but people don't really see me in it, and I'm in it, and the project would run for 2 years. I remember I did I did an Orkin commercial. I mean, that commercial ran for 4 years.
And that's just check after check after check right there, right? As long as it keeps going.
It's unheard of in this industry for one commercial to run that long. That's unheard of. And Orkin, they're just selling, pesticides, and they show it around baseball season or football season to encourage people to, shore up their gardens and lawns. And every time they re-up that commercial, I was like, you can't see me in the commercial. I play a scientist, and bye. I play a scientist, but it's one of those things where you go, that was a blessing for sure. That was a blessing, because that doesn't happen often. But
because those checks just keep moving until the commercial's done, right?
So the commercials and they get smaller and smaller, but the idea of still being out there working and relevant is so important. It's so important. It's so important.
Because we talked about all the auditions and everything, what's like the worst audition that you could remember that you had that just went really bad for maybe not a fault of your own, or maybe you had to take a shit or something, just any weird situation in an audition that you're like, fuck.
I don't remember the worst, but I remember the strangest audition that I had, and I literally said, fuck it, I don't care. I just simply didn't care. I was in Chicago, and Pete Jones was a director wonderful guy. He was the winner of some, huge competition in America where the director got to, they shot the director's project. I think it was called Under the City. It shot it in Chicago back in like 2001 or 2002. And the writer of it was also one of the stars of the project. And they were making the audition really tough but fair. And they really wanted you to, I went in and like, the casting director goes, look, do whatever you want to do. Just, make sure that you stay within the parameters of this. And his only thing is he wants to feel feared. And I was like, he wants me to make him scared or something like that? And she was like, yeah, you just have to commit to the lines. I was like, okay. So I'm doing the lines and this guy didn't look fearful. He didn't look fearful. I was supposed to have a gun in my hand. I was like, I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, fuck this. I'm going to fail big. I grabbed him by the pants, which they said you can do, you have to get permission. It's okay to, rest your hand on. I grabbed him by the pants and stuck my hand down his pants and asked him, are you scared now with this gun in your pants? And they didn't have a gun. And he's like, no, I'm pretty scared now. And I was like, cool. And I, whatever, I did the audition in that character. I walked out of the room and she walked back out after me. It's like, he wants to cast you right now. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, he felt that it was a brave choice. You putting your hands in his pants. And I was like, yeah, no, I have dick on my hands now. I'm gonna go wash this. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go wash this dick off my hands and I'll be back to shake his hand. Let me come back. That was
normally his auditions might have went a different way, like where he's actually insisting on that to happen. But
yeah, I'm gonna go right and wash this. I'm not gonna shake on my hand.
Yeah, just get that dick off your hands.
In terms of bad auditions, I have had awful auditions where I couldn't remember. I've said before, like I was auditioning and I might have said something like, and you would love this new Toyota. Yeah, we're doing Honda. I'll see you guys later. Bye. I'm gonna step out the room now. I'm just gonna go. I think we're done here.
So with all the people that you've worked with and everything, who's the most famous person you personally know?
That I know?
That you actually know. Like I know you've worked with people that are extremely famous, but like who's the most famous person that you have like a good relationship with?
Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, Dean Edwards, former SNL cast member. We like brothers. We used to live together. And Faison Love is another one. Craig Robinson. I just went to his house the other day to go have like a celebratory dinner or watch the game or something like that. And yeah, I'd have to say Dave Chappelle is one of the most famous people that I've ever got to share a stage with and work with and talk to. And Steven Spielberg. I didn't, he hired me for a project called On the Lot back in 2008. I auditioned for him inside the, I believe it was Warner Brothers Studio Universal, I can't remember which. And it was the first time I'd ever done an audition with the person on the screen. And I was in the room with everyone else, but he wasn't there. He was just remotely watching. And that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But he was the most famous person I think I'd ever, even eclipsing somebody like Dave or whatever.
So you mentioned you went to Craig Robinson's house, hung out, whatever, watched
a game. I did. We hung.
He's what's it like hanging out with that guy? He seems like how he would be like in some of the movies.
I mean, the guy is a chill pill, just in motion. He's just cool. I lost the game. We're talking about the basketball game. I think we watched the Final Four together, and he's just as calm and cool. Cool. You want to do that? Go ahead. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with my son to the pool for a minute and hang out. He's like, cool. Go ahead. I've known Craig. Gosh, going back into the mid '90s, he was in New York doing Def Jam, and I'd met him there. And then living in Chicago, I reacquainted myself with him, and we just became fast, long, good friends, and we just remain that way. He is. There's a reason. I believe there's a reason. That people like the Tiffany Haddish's, who I've worked with before, who I love and so proud of her, so very proud of her. She actually beat me in a comedy competition. No surprise there. Years ago. You're just happy for these people because they were meant to. And Kevin Hart. I coached Kevin Hart one time. He came to my small apartment in Hollywood, and I was able to coach him on something. I don't remember what it was, but I made him laugh, so that made me happy. So I don't get to see him. I don't get to see Kevin. I haven't seen Kevin in years. But it again, what I'm saying, it's no surprise that these people who are obviously popular or famous, however you want to say it, are at that level because they worked hard and they are genuinely nice people. Really, they deserve it.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson 100% deserves every ounce of success that he has, and so does Tiffany and everyone else that I mentioned.
Well, maybe I'll get an invite to Final Four one of these days with you and Craig. But
it sucked. The Final Four sucked. No, like I said, I was like, yeah, Archie, we're going to the pool now. We're gonna go hang out. But it was fun. I just love hanging out and seeing my friends and being able to catch up with them after a complete full year of not being able to see them.
Now, going back to the commercials and everything, like I love the Wingstop commercial. That's the most recent one that I've seen that's out, But,
yeah, there's another one. There's two out right now, which I'm very happy about. Running, it's a CarMax commercial where it's a very funny commercial. You ever see the ones where the people are like trying to do different things to get CarMax? Like, I'm running to get quickly to CarMax because there's a sale or whatever. But the Wingstop commercial, I get flack for that. It's like, you left your son. You left your kid, and they know me as a dad. I would never do that. So it's
that's what made it funny to me. Like, it just made it even funnier to me because I already know, like, you would never be in a situation like that. Like, you would lose your shit.
I don't think I would die the moment that I don't know what I would do. I can't even think. You ever have those moments of nightmares and you wake up in cold sweats, like in the middle of the night? Every parent has that, like, oh no, okay, I did it. I locked the door. I did this, I did that. And I would freak
like it's just the polar that to me, like what is like the polar opposite of how you would handle it and just how it would never even happen. Like you're just okay, well,
I would freak the fuck out. I can't imagine, which is why doing the spot as small of as an interstitial as it was in a snippet, that gave me a license to exercise, like how it's the contrast of me being the worst dad ever. Not that I'm the best dad, but I certainly wouldn't leave my son for some damn ranch dressing and wings. Although they're delicious, Wingstop, don't get me wrong.
They're actually really delicious. So that was what I was going to bring up is like the commercials you do, like with that especially, do they give you any like swag outside of paying you, of course? But
my dad!
Anything?
You sound like my dad. Yo, do you remember that? I've done 7 McDonald's commercials, right? I've done 7 and counting. And I remember my dad going, okay, so do you get free McDonald's when you go? And I was like, what? No, nobody gives me free shit. No, the only job that I've ever done that they gave me like an over amount of exorbitant amount of shit was Axe body spray.
Oh my God. That's ironic because most people who wear Axe body spray puts an absorbent amount on their bodies. So it's fitting.
It fit, right? I remember shooting it. It was a half hour sort of, I don't know, they're trying to do a sitcom, and Dot was in it from Glee. She played the coach on Glee. I don't remember, Dot Anderson, I believe her name is, and she was in it with me and a couple other people that are working actors now. And about 4 to 5 days later, I got home and there was a huge box in front of my crib, and I thought that the UPS back then. Do you know I opened this? I literally had Axe spray for about 4 years. No bullshit. I had Axe deodorant. I had Axe body wash, Axe spray, and they just wrote the note. Thank you for participating in this and enjoy this. And I was like, enjoy all this? I have to get some shit. I would leave shit at the gym sometime after I'm done taking a shower. I don't need it.
It's just too much.
I got 12 more bottles.
See, I mean, to me, it's like Wingstop can't get you like a 10-piece. Just because, at least I'll
brother, just one wing. Just give me one wing.
Put it in my hand.
Just give me a wing. I don't want the 10-piece. Give me a boneless one. My best Chris Rock. Give me one wing.
Chris Rock. How much we just poured in my hand?
That'll never get old. Give me one rib.
Never.
That was great. No,
so what are your days like now? Because things are getting a little bit back to normal, so are you getting back into the auditioning where it's normal auditions, or are you still doing,
I said,
Zoom?
Not quite yet. We're not getting there yet. And I don't know if I'd be very comfortable going in right now. I'm very afraid of this, and as we should all be, wear our mask and be vaccinated and stuff like that. But I think for me, because I have a kid, I have to take a little bit of extra precaution. most like you and all parents out there, and people should, but I still audition from home. There's a studio set up in the other room over there where you have the drape and the lights and stuff like that. And I enjoy that. And excuse me, still writing. In fact, when I'm, we're done, like I said, I have to memorize a script and shoot that, and then call my writing partner and see if there's anything that we need to clean up for the second round of the next script that we have to submit to the studios.
Okay. So you're gonna ever go back to stand up?
Yes, I will. I will. It'll be, I think, when, I will. I don't, I'm again, I'm raising a 5-year-old. So having nighttime freedom isn't where it's at for me. I have to be there at night and wake up in the morning and do the breakfast and send them off to school and be present. But so, people don't do stand up during the day. And having the last thing that I did, I think I was in Kuwait. In fact, I was in Kuwait in 2016 with Dean, right before my son was born, like a month before he was born. I was in Kuwait. And I think that was the last show that I've done. And I say that because when you're a comic, you got to travel on the road on the weekends to make that real money. And during the week, you're in your home city honing your craft. I can't do that right now because it's not something that I want to do, but I do look forward to when I'm able to do it again. Sure.
And with COVID, it kind of reminds me of like if you worked on a puzzle that's like a 50 million piece puzzle, and you finally got all the pieces where they're supposed to be. Here comes COVID, just smacking that puzzle, and all the pieces fly up,
shattering it everywhere because you think you have things right where you need them, and it's something. I mean, this was unexpected for everyone. You turned your life upside down, but there's I'm a pretty positive person. I'd like to know that and believe that and continue to focus on that. So I took the lemons and made some lemonade. I was just like, I'm going to go back to fundamental stuff that I'd done when I first started, and that's just having the bulletin and the board up here. I mean, you could see this. I'll show you. Like, this is this is the idea box, and just creating ideas and putting them on the board and doing all the things that I did. And there's no wrong idea. There's nothing wrong. It's just whether or not you want to focus on it, write it. And if it's corny, it's corny. But it's not for a lack of effort. It's not for lack of doing. None, never.
I think the one thing, like with COVID, it actually brought out a lot of creativity for people. So it's like I try to look at positivity in a lot of like worse situations too. And I think with COVID, it took people a pandemic to think outside the box.
100%.
It's like there's a lot of things that COVID did help in a weird way. When you're looking past like the negatives and trying to find a positive and turning lemons into lemonade, like it's something that made people, what else can I do? If you're a comedian, I guess I have to do Zoom comedy shows, or I have to like Saturday Night Live, they did their shows through Zoom basically. They were at home
for the first few months. They did do it through Zoom, and it worked. I mean, we were hungry for content, right? We were tired of watching stuff that we had seen, or no new sports, or I watched The Last Dance in like a day, so I was done with that. So I was, what else is there? So I appreciated the people who did, return to work and try to do something to normalize the world. But at the same time, I was like, I'm glad they're taking those precautions and taking it seriously, but still able to help us get through this, because it was a difficult time. It still is for lots of people.
I'm happy that, like, I know things aren't completely back to normal, but I'm glad things are slowly getting there, seeing fans back at stadiums, and because I'm a big sports fan too, and it's
heck yeah, man, me too.
I love seeing that. Like, I'm also a big wrestling fan too, and
Yo, when you mentioned that, I was like, wait a minute, you said that, I was like, which wrestling do you like? I'm just curious.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that I like I'm a big college wrestling fan. I like the fake stuff. I like the WWE.
No, that's what I mean. But there are different levels to this. Are you a WWF guy, or a WWE guy, or an EWE guy? Because I know my wrestling a little bit, but
no, I love all wrestling. I've watched wrestling my entire life. I love all.
It's hilarious to me that
you'd like it. You would like it.
I do love it. Man, you got to see my toys. That all the toys are like for me and R2. And I go, R2, I try to convince him, don't you want this older Hulk Hogan? Isn't he cool? Like, no, I don't know who that is. A stretchy Big John Studd or something like that. He's like, who the hell is Big John Studd? But
well, there's a TikTok promo league that I'm a part of, and it's called NGTTWF.
I need to hear more about this. Let me hear it one more time.
NGTTWF. It
stands for what?
It's a promo wrestling league. So it's basically promo in wrestling is when the guy cuts an interview and just talking shit to the other guy. That's what's called a promo in wrestling. So they're cutting a promo. So what we do is we compete against other people, and there's like hundreds of people in this promo league. And
so this is a real thing now. This is
a real thing, and we run it through TikTok, and we're cutting promos against each other, and then there's judges that will judge the promos.
I will say this, out of all my friends, only you would be involved in something like this, knowing you. All the people who I'm cool with and down with, only you would do something like this and make it work. That's hilarious, bro.
Hey, I'm a former workhorse champion. I am a former workhorse champion, and I'm going to get my title back this Friday against Ty Vamp. And hopefully when I put this on next week, I'll be the current workhorse champ.
You got to hit me up. I got to watch it. Do you get in there, brother? And do you get in there?
I don't do the Hulk Hogan bit. It's my own gimmick, but I do raise my voice every now and then. And there is also a little other part of me that's kind of crazy, and it's called Mr. Him, and my whole face is painted and everything. Man, are you on TikTok?
How am I just hearing about this as your boy? How do you not? How do you keep this a secret for this long? What's going on, bro?
It's not something you just share. All the time.
Come up a casual conversation. Oh, can I have the wine? And also, I'm in a wrestling league, just so you know. Just in case, with the red wine, please.
Are you on TikTok?
I'm not. I'm that guy. You know what's funny? I'm not even on Facebook. I'm not good at promoting.
Maybe that's why you haven't heard about it.
I don't have TikTok. I have Instagram, and that's it. I don't have.
You would be great on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, you're an actor, you're a comedian. Like that's what it's for.
Can I admit something? I don't even know what TikTok does. I've seen, but it's
basically 60-second videos. It was mainly like girls dancing and trending dances.
I like this. I like where this is going. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's that. But then there's also just comedy bit. There's just remember Vine?
Okay, so you just answered the question I was going to ask. What's different about Vine? I know you're trying to educate me, and I'm like looking like an idiot.
60 seconds.
Why not just do it on Instagram then? And why do you need another platform?
You can, but you'll get more attention, and you'll get more views on TikTok than you would.
You're just showing my ignorance and my age at the same time. So go ahead.
Right. You'll get more attention on TikTok than you would on Instagram.
Okay, I'm in. I'm going to download it as we speak. I'm going to get TikTok.
Right, I'm gonna tag you, and you'll see all my stuff on there.
I don't know what I'll call myself. I'm sure you have to pick a funny name, but
just go by your regular name, because I'm telling you, you're gonna get on it. You're gonna start doing comedy bits and everything, and you're gonna get like thousands of views, and you're gonna be like, dude, how did I fucking not?
If I don't, I'm coming after you, Playboy. I'm coming.
Come get it.
405 put me up to this. It was his fault.
I can get you in the wrestling one if you want to, but your time isn't very open.
It's limited right now. We gotta work on that. I got the kid. I gotta get.
Maybe a one-off, but But yeah, man. So what do you got? What do you got coming up?
I just finished a show for Netflix that I was in for Colin. Can I say it? Yeah, it's a former athlete who's no longer in the NFL, and it's his life story. I don't know why they make us sign these damn NDAs. I can't say nothing about him. And then I just finished Dead. It's also for Netflix, Dead to Me, and that those couple of things. And still, like I said, still writing. But in terms of performance, it'll be those two TV shows. Ironically enough, both for Netflix.
So there's a quote when I was looking at the IMDb page.
Yeah.
And it's a quote. There's a quote. It says quotes. It may be hard to see.
I can't see that. What is it?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm going to read it anyways. But
read it to me.
Quotes, and it has your picture where it looks like you're wearing a members only jacket with no shirt underneath, which is very hot.
No, that can't be me.
Hold on. Oh no, this is I screenshot it. So this is what the quote said. I don't believe in right and wrong. I never try to do or say what's right. I always and only do and say what's best. what is best for me, you, and anyone involved in the choice or decision I'm about to make.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow, that's still on there.
That's the only quote you have on there, because I was just looking through it and it said quotes, and I was like, oh, okay, let me look at the
That's
quote.
interesting.
And that was the only quote, and I was like,
I think
okay.
they ask you to do that when you sign up or something, and I probably felt like in myself. I don't lie. That's probably why I don't lie. I'm not a liar. I don't lie. I don't cheat or steal. And some people have different variations of what's the truth or what's right. And I'm like, I'm going to do what is the best thing for us, and I know that it's not going to hurt you or me. There it is. There's that guy. Look at that young man.
Doesn't it look like
at that young guy?
It looks like a member.
Looks like that guy right there. He looks a little bit like him, just an older version. I remember that picture. I remember. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but I just remember always knowing people are being. Yeah, that was.
I watched the trailer for that on there too. For this.
Yeah, that lady. She's a great actress. Edith. Edith is her name. We did that based on we started doing that because they were like, I don't want to say old people, but they were people who are in the industry who are older, and I'm getting older obviously, but much older than me, who don't get to showcase their work because of their age. And we happened to be a part of this project in Los Angeles with the NAACP, where they have you write projects, produce them, and direct them. And she happened to write and produce this project, and we had another director who went off to do good things. We shot that years ago for this NAACP thing, and it did some great work. It got a lot of.
The trailer was cool. Like, I watched the trailer, I was like, okay, you did show little acting chops a little bit,
I get to cry. I get tear shed. The backstory is there's a female president, and she never thought she would see that. There's she thinks she's suffering from dementia, and a lot of people who do suffer from dementia, remember things that we would think, well, they remember different things. And her particular character thinks that I'm her ex-husband who passed away.
And she needs to make a vote, right? She has to vote.
She has to vote for the first time in I can't remember how long, but it was one of those things where she was bedridden, but I made it an effort to take her to go vote because it was so important to her to see this first female president elected.
It made me laugh a little bit in the trailer where you were just like, when she just asked what your name was, and you're like, we speak every day.
Yeah. She was. I was like, what do you? Oh, I'm remembering this game now. I'm so and so. Yeah, I gotta remember because it takes you as the character. You go, I'm sick. You know what? She's in this state. Let me just make her the remaining days that she has as comfortable and less stressful for her. So I just agree to be whoever she wants me to be.
And I used to work in an assisted living when I used to live in Alabama. Yeah, Little Sisters of the Poor, and there was a lot of people that had that same like character, so to speak, where they care. And I was a chef there, and I would take it to heart if someone passed away, because I would grow, fond of a lot of the people that were there. And you get attached, and you want to see them. You just know what their life was before, and then you see their state now, and it's sad, and you want to make their life feel good towards the end,
I mean, I think that's wonderful too, man. That's great, because one of the things about that project was there are a lot of different messages in that project that we did, and one of them, you have to care about the elderly. You got to care about your past and your future, but the elderly people who are so instrumental in where we have been and where we're going. I think it was, and we shot that oddly enough in a real older person's facility. We shot that, and to see the nurses, because we took a wing of it away. There was no one there, and we shot that. We maintained ourselves in that wing, but the nurses would come up to us and say, "Thank you," and they can't wait to see this project because it speaks to what they go through on a daily basis. I remember that so clearly. Like, it was tough.
How long ago did that movie come out?
It was a short. It was a short that we did. What year is this? I want to say 2011, 2012.
That's why you look really young in it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is pre my son. All what you see over there in that picture is pre my son. None of this gray, none of these tired eyes, any lack of sleep that you see. That was a while ago, over a decade ago for sure.
Right. Because about 30 more years, we're gonna be in that same spot. Like, man, shit.
Shit, man. Damn. I'll look at this tomorrow and be like, man, I was young yesterday. I feel like I get older every day, man. It's just, I do, but I feel it every day.
Absolutely, man. It's been great. It's been great having you on the show. It's been great having the cat on the show too. The cat.
She's a nut. Her and my son. You hear her galloping through the house, and she's nuts.
Because it's the cat's house. Anytime you own a cat, it's become their house. You might as well turn over the deed.
I was watching the funniest episode of, I think it was like The Simpsons or American Dad, and the cat takes over. It was so accurate because that cat and my son, they just, whatever they want, they're toys everywhere. They drop everything. I'm like, y'all are nuts.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask you before we sign off here about voice work. Do you do a lot of voice work?
I think I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that oddly enough, I hadn't done it before. I want to say I did about 4 voiceover commercials in my career up into almost a 30-year career. During the pandemic, my inboxes would be flooded from my agents of different spots of voiceover. And I was like, I got to invest in voiceover stuff. I personally think much like the majority of people, my voice sucks. I have this crazy raspy voice. I have a weird accent where, I speak, my first language is French. So I'm Haitian. So I speak different languages, and I lived in Chicago and LA and New York. So you don't know. So I'm like, I don't have a voice for this. She's like, your voice is perfect. And I'm like, you see dollar signs, and I'm okay with that. So let's get it. But I've done a lot of voiceover work and auditions over the last year, and it's just gotten better. Or I've gotten better, I think.
Anytime you think, this is the one thing I've learned. Anytime you think like you can't do something, and you're a positive guy, you could do anything you want to do. And if you think your voice is bad, imagine the person who says, hey, you know what? We should call this web search site. Let's call it Google. Like, that's not a great name. Like,
no, it's not.
Even mean, you know what I mean? But it's like, Google it.
You know what? I agree with you. Like, I believe like, well, I don't have a voice for TV, and I'm like, that's stupid. You do have a voice for TV. It's no one sees your face. Or it's like the old joke. You have such a perfect voice for radio, or your perfect face for radio, rather. But I'm very lucky because there's a character that someone's making out there that just fits this voice. There's something that someone's drawing out. There's something out there that, again, that goes to that positivity. There's something out there that will fit me, and I'll just keep working at it up until that moment. It's not going to make me stop, even though I have this insecurity about my voice, or I think about it. But it'll pan out to some degree.
Do you think it's more lucrative to do voiceover commercials or live commercials?
Matters not.
It doesn't.
It matters not. We are bound by the same sort of contracts. If you're a kind of person, an artist who likes their face front and center, you want to do in front of the camera. If you don't mind solely doing voiceover work, that's for you. Some people feel the most freedom doing voiceover. I just happen, again, to love working and seeing, I call it failing upward. How good can I be at this, or how not good, I guess, or what are my limits, and what am I stretching myself to do? So I don't see a difference. If I'm working and I'm doing good work, I'm good.
I just want to say I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done, and just putting some knowledge for people who are just trying to, get started and, make ends meet and try to get there, get to a level where you're at. I'm proud to know you. And I'm proud that, you're in a position right now where your son is looking at his dad, super, super proud.
Hey, buddy.
You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate your time, and anything else you want to throw out there?
No, just love, stay safe, and thank you, man. Tune into your podcast. Tune in. It's a podcast. Tune in every week, and support. You're doing a great thing, and I'm super proud of you. We kicked it a little bit before the show started. Some things I didn't know, and you maintain it, and you're doing your thing. And like I said, having a friendship last over any amount of time in this industry is huge, but we've maintained going, keeping it real. So I'm just super proud you're sticking with it and staying in there, and not letting your environment or where you are dictate what you can and can't do. Super proud of you, man.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you
No,
so
thank
much. And what's what's the Instagram for everybody so they can
BKFA 1804. So it really is Brooklyn's finest artist, and 1804 is the year that I'm like I said, I'm Haitian, so Haiti gained its independence in 1804. So I adopted that as part of my moniker for that.
see, this is
So
what's great about being friends with Rich, is that anytime if you just add what's your handle, there's a history lesson involved in that too. You're
just
learning.
like that quote.
You're learning and being friends at
Yeah.
the same time with a great guy. So thank you so much for doing the show. I do
Thank you.
appreciate it. Super success. Looking forward to seeing all the commercials. And thanks
Word.
for everybody that's listening and watching this show. Look, it's a
Thank
podcast.
you. Yeah.
We got a great season coming up. This is the first episode. We're gonna have about 8 more, well, 7 more we're gonna put out there for you guys. So we appreciate you guys. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Look It's a Podcast. And we appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of y'all's day. Have a good one.
Good looks, man. Peace.